Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am so happy to have a conversation with actress Margaret Avery. You've seen Margaret in many things, including the movie The Color Purple. Most recently, you can see Margaret as Florence in the new Netflix series A Man on the Inside.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for being on my show. I am so excited to be talking with you.
Well, I'm happy to be with you. Thank you.
So let's get started. So your new show, A Man on the Inside, is so good. What was your favorite scene to film?
There was so many scenes that were wonderful with Ted Danson. But I think our favorite was right there on Universal's lot. Uh, uh, and you think that the scene is we're in San Francisco and we're just having a good time after having happy hour in the senior citizen living space. And we're outside and we're smoking grass and just having a great time. Well, of course, we're not really smoking grass, but we get to pretend. So, and just the laughter, being able to laugh and the lines. Well, I don't want to spoil the story, but we're just having a great time. And we didn't have to act because we were having a great time with even without the weed. But all of us just loved the show, and we love the fact that we were able to share so many old stories from the 70s, our work experiences with different people. Um, and I always say it was just a delight to not be the oldest one on the set.
Oh yeah. I love that. Um, so who has had the biggest impact on you professionally?
Professionally. I thought about an acting coach that had, I was studying with him one-on-one lessons, and he was very good at making me realize the backstory of every line. It's like, it's when you say a line, what is your thought behind it? Um, but then I thought, you know what? I did TV for 20 years. I worked with Richard Pryor, and that was a film. I worked with who we felt was a matinee idol at that time, Billy D. Williams. I co-starred with him. And still people didn't know me until after Color Purple. And the person that wrote The Color Purple is Alice Walker. She got a Pulitzer Prize for her book, The Color Purple. Then it became a film. So I have to say, because of her, I'm still remembered today and still working. Because she really put me on the map as and has given so many people job opportunities because the stage production of it has been three different casts. And then they made the film, the musical film. I mean, can you imagine? She must be so proud of herself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Um, yeah, so who has had the biggest impact on you as a person?
As a person, I would have to say my daughter. She gave me the blues when she was going through puberty and her teenage years. And psychologists, we call that the age of trying to find your own identity. Um, and it was a troubled time for her and myself because that was during the separation also. Not at that time did I separate from my husband, but I think the separation, not having a father in the home, was more affected her more then.
Mm.
And now she's just this beautiful, beautiful daughter who's so loving and caring, not only to me, but to my granddaughter and to other people. And I think and I look and I say, wow, did I really have a part in that? She's such a good human being. I'm just so proud.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
I always tell parents if you're having trouble with your kids now and they're going through adolescence, just stay in there. The apple usually doesn't fall too far from the tree, although you may think it is. But keep the faith because their problems don't seem like they should be big. I mean, they're not worrying about the mortgage or, the car notes and insurance and all of that stuff. All they have to do, as I thought, all you have to do is go to school and get good grades. But they've got so much more stuff going on, how other kids see them. And with social media today, my God, I feel so sorry for them because who knows what's coming in that's negative, and at a time when they're trying to find out who they are and who they want to be like and what is truth, what is fiction, and to see what they see on television and not understand that that's not real, that's just a script that has nothing to do with your values and your morals. And Maya, what I don't understand is why we allow all this social media, this negative stuff.
Yeah, I have really been working on like trying to limit that like social media and or just like not really like if I'm on it, just like on it for a specific reason and not just like scrolling through because I
Right,
realized my anxiety got like seeing all this like stuff about things going on in the world, even though I
mhm,
know what's going on. I don't want to like see it all
right.
the time because I realized that was making my anxiety so much worse.
And it
So,
does. I mean, it just like
yeah,
you start getting so anxious and
yeah,
you can't enjoy the present.
yeah,
So, but that being said, what can we do?
yeah. Um, so do you have any irrational fears?
Irrational fears. I don't think I have any now. The only thing I can think of is I used to be afraid of flying because I
Mm,
always thought about, well, if it goes down, what have I not accomplished? What do I not have in place? Did I get my will together? Did I get insurance? Um, and then um, two things. Number one, the facts are that getting in your car, driving on the freeway is you're more likely to have a fatal experience with that than you would be scientifically wise and percentage wise going down in a plane. The other thing is I learned, well, let's just say I finally accepted that we shouldn't worry about things we can't change. It's called needless worry. And I heard that years ago, they said 90% of your worries are needless worries. So just think about the things that are not needless worries and things that you can maybe change or help change. And that really helps a lot besides prayer and faith. But if you worry about everything, see these lines I'm getting? So it doesn't do any good to worry unless it's something that you can change, help to change.
Yeah, yeah.
They say let go and let God.
Um, so what has been the biggest obstacle you've overcome?
The biggest obstacle, I think, if I look back at my life, um, I have a lot of blessings, and a lot that I'm grateful for. But the hardest part in my life, I think, was going through unemployment. So, and it happened gradually, but I didn't see it. and to lie in my bed at night wondering, how am I going to pay the mortgage? How do I do this? How do I do that? Well, okay, let me get a job doing this. And then you get a job and it doesn't pay enough. I was still living off my savings with unemployment. Then I'd say, well, let me change. I'll get a real estate license. Well, I try to do real estate. And at that time, I think it was back in the early 80s, interest rates went up, Maya, 21 and 22%. Can you imagine?
Mhm.
So every time I sold a house, the interest rate couldn't be set. So the rate would go up and everything would fall out of escrow because as the rate goes up, your monthly payment goes up and people would fall out of being qualified. So one day I was emptying my trash and I thought, I saw all these wine bottles in the trash can. I'm thinking, who the hell is putting their trash in my trash can? And then I looked again. I said, those are my wine bottles. I was drinking myself to sleep because I had such anxiety. And so what happened was that I was driving down the street one day and people say God don't doesn't speak to you in certain ways, but I swear to God, Maya, I'm in my car and I heard this voice say, move into the guest apartment, stupid. So, and that was my answer. I sometimes you have an answer that's right in your face, but you just can't see it for the worry. Get it? You're
Yeah.
worrying so much about it and frantic about it that you don't see the common sense answer. So I was able to put all my stuff in storage, and my daughter and I moved to the guest apartment that's sort of connected to the house, and I rented out my house. And that saved me from losing my home. And um, that experience, the process of it, going through it, I never want to experience it again. I even went to an office to try to get food stamps. And they said, we'll sell your house. And I said, well, my mortgage, my rent would be higher than my mortgage. So what difference is that? What, that doesn't make any sense. So, uh, I don't want to experience that again, but I understand now. When I see someone homeless, many of us could be homeless just like that. If you're living from paycheck to paycheck, and I survived 5 strikes over the years. Every 10 years, we seem to have a big strike in the industry. And it doesn't take long to be homeless. The bank gives you, if you're 3 months behind, boy, you're out. It's going into foreclosure. You just a statistic. And the reason I know you're a statistic is because one time when things were good, I paid my mortgage and I was 1 penny off. Can you believe it? And I got this notice that said, this threatening notice, if you don't pay this, da da da, when you da da da, your house will go into foreclosure. And I'm thinking, what are they talking about? I get my checkbook out and I see that I'm 1 penny off. And so that told me we're just a number with corporations. They have a system that if you're off, you don't have enough, it automatic letter goes out.
Wow.
So I always feel that it's very important that we stay grounded. And it's important to me that I keep a close relationship with God because that helps me to keep centered. Know who you are, know who your friends are, and just try not to get so impacted by so much of the negativity that comes at us on a daily basis. What I try to do is read affirmations, and as you have one of your questions, quotations, and just try to stay grounded because it's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, some people think that it's easy, but I think if it's not easy for you, do the things that keep you grounded.
Yeah. Um, so what small things bring you joy on a daily basis?
Hmm. Maya, have you ever awakened and seen the sunrise? It's
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I think that brings me joy to start the day. Because sometimes I look at my to-do list and I say, "Oh my God." What's another thing? I really love nature. Just walking and being able to appreciate the birds. That's how I found out that, do you know that there are some birds that mate for life? They have the same partner. And I have watched over the years the same two blue jays come to one of my trees and they nest there. I don't like what they leave on the side of my wall, but I mean, but it's just beautiful to see how nature works. And the other
Yeah.
thing I like is hearing kids laugh.
Mm.
They laugh. It's like they're so free and it's so honest to feel, to hear that joy in them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Um, so what is your favorite way to procrastinate?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, my papers get so disorganized and I'm always putting them off. When I walk in the door, I put something down, put the mail down on the hearth. And before you know it, the hearth is like this. I mean, it's just a mess. But rather than cleaning it, you know what's wonderful to keep from cleaning that mess? Watching TCM, turn classic movies. I love those black and white movies, the lighting, the dialogue, it's so kind of stale now, but it's wonderful. And the way the makeup artists, I didn't know that so many women didn't have lips. I mean, if you really put the movie on pause, you'll see that the lipstick is above their lip line.
Oh.
And I just love watching those old actresses and how they worked the camera. And
Yeah.
before I know it, I can do my papers another day.
Yeah.
And the music, I mean, yeah, I just hope. And the other thing about Turner Classic Movies on his station, you don't have commercials
Mm.
that interrupt. Doggone it. And I hope that they can keep that.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you ever watched it? It's wonderful.
Sorry, what?
Have you ever watched the Turner Classic Movies?
I haven't.
They'll have like 1 month of one actress, maybe Marlena Dietrich. It'll be the Marlena Dietrich month, or it'll be uh, in any actor that you know of. It'll be their month. They kind of like go through all their movies, and sometimes it's only like maybe they're in the movie when they first started their careers, like maybe one or two scenes. But the costuming and the makeup, it's fascinating.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool.
And you'll see that a lot of those styles that they wore then, they're wearing now. If you look on
Yeah.
Amazon, they've copied
Yeah.
necklines and that are really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great procrastination. Great.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so of all that you have accomplished so far, is there something you are the most proud of?
Well, we mentioned it before. I think it's my daughter, how she's turned out. I think that as a parent, when we close our eyes for the last time, we want to know that our kids can make good choices and take care of themselves. And I think she'll be able to do that.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Um, so I am pop culture obsessed and I go in stages of shows that I cannot stop watching. Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
Uh, I was trying to think of the name of the show that. Uh, well, ask me another question. Maybe I'll think about that answer because
Oh,
I couldn't. I was kind of like going through uh, Netflix and all of them to see if I could find that show again, but I couldn't. So I can't remember the name of it, but it was maybe from the early 1900s. Uh, great costumes, great costumes. Um, doggone it. I'm sorry, I can't remember it. But
oh, it's okay.
Audrey McDonald plays the mother of someone. Uh, and I can't remember the name of it. But
Oh, okay.
anyway,
Yeah,
I hate to
yeah,
see streaming shows because if I really get into it, I wind up seeing more and more and more. And before I know it, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, oh my God.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I yeah, I just well, my most recent binge watch was A Man on the Inside.
Oh,
Um
thank you.
yeah, I love that show. I watched it with my mom and we both just loved it. We watched it
Oh,
in like 2 days, so
yeah, yeah. I mean, working with Ted Danson was so wonderful, and I thought that all the cast, I can't think of any other actors playing those roles. They were so
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
And I think it's a show for many different generations. I mean, because you certainly know someone that's probably, that you could relate to that was in one of the characters in the show. Um, and I think that it's brought up a lot of issues with humor, the loss, the death, relationships, dementia, um, and the fact that we just die. And it's hard. It's hard to grip that. I've still gripped that with friends that I've lost. And every time there's a icon that we lose, I think, oh wow, because I think about all the laughter and the moments of pleasure they've given me, and now they're gone. And the Bible says we should be happy that someone's gone on to a happier place and all that. But maybe I'm selfish, but I just feel sad.
yeah,
I think,
yeah.
oh God, another one. And then I'm looking to see what Turner Classic Movies. I'm always looking to see when did they die. Oh my God, they died so early, in their 50s. Jesus.
Yeah.
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 But what
So,
did you like about it? Inside Story.
um, I, I thought it was such an interesting story, and I loved the humor in it. I thought it was so funny, and then,
Mhm.
there were episodes that made me cry. Um, but yeah, and I love e- everybody in that show, so.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, it's like I was like, oh, I think I even got teary-eyed in one of the scenes, because I felt the writing was so realistic, and
Yeah.
I could relate to it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a good show. I'm sure the thing that I'm concerned about or wondering about is how does it move forward? Because as you see at the very end, Ted Danson gets another assignment. So I'm curious as to what is that assignment. Probably it's
Yeah.
not going back to uh, our storylines where they were in the rest home or the retirement home. So it's somewhere else. But I'm sure with the writing, we're going to enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so what genre of movie would your life story be told as?
Hmm. I had to think about that. It's got to be acting, as an art. Um, but I think to specialize it, it would be actors who follow their passion against all odds,
I love that.
you know? And
Yeah.
I tell young people, don't just think about how you can make money. Of course you can, you've got to, you've got to bring in your, your livelihood, but you've got to love your work. Love your work because whatever you do, it's going to be hard work. There's a lot of competition out there with whatever you do. But if you do it with joy, with your passion, I think it's going to survive. Your work will survive because it's something that people will receive and need.
Yeah.
Like you, what you're doing. This is fun for me.
Thank you. I'm so glad because I'm having so much fun talking with
Of
you.
course, I don't know if you're earning a living, but I don't, that would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
That's another one I had to think about. And I think Uh, Mike, I've thought about a lot of other labels, but then I think the one that keeps coming back at me is be careful what you wish for. Because a lot of times people say, oh, I want to be a star, or I want this, I want that. But you got to think beyond what it is that you want. Think about what does it take to get that and what sacrifices you may have to make to not only get it, but to maintain it. And is it really going to be the most important thing in your life?
Yeah.
The grass always looks greener on the other side. But
Yeah.
oh boy, you can get on the other side and see that this ain't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's got cow manure in it and it smells and it's
Yeah.
fake green and
Yeah.
it was bought at Home Depot and
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so what is something people are always surprised to learn about you?
um I think on a let's see. I think I hear, oh, they don't know that I used to teach school, that I was a school teacher before I got in the business. I taught first and second grade, and I think that's why I really love the little ones and understand how they learn and how important it is that we expose them to as much education and other languages while they're young. Um, now the question was, what was the question?
What is something people are always surprised
Oh,
to
yeah, that
learn
I was a teacher and also that I'm a licensed psychologist. that was one of the things I went back to school and did while I was in my guest apartment. So, and I've been able to use that in a lot of ways. So between my survival tools has been my education, being in the acting profession, because we have a lot of lulls. We have a lot of lulls, and you've got to be able to survive those.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I've always been super interested in psychology and learning more about that because my mom she majored in that in
Oh, did she?
psychology in college. Yeah, and so she always has been so interested in that. So I love just so I'm so my sister and I are both also so interested in just learning more about that. And
And then, Maya, the way I got involved with it was not to become a psychologist, but just to I wanted to be able to talk about or think about other things other than the industry because
yeah.
I was surrounded by the industry. You get together with friends and they're actors and they're talking about who's doing this and I just got tired of it and I thought, gee, I would really love to be in a learning situation and from it, I learned so much about myself, the studies of it, and uh, how we're affected as children in the environment that we grow up in, how it affects our relationships as an adult. And I mean, just a lot of stuff. I grew up in an alcoholic home, and I didn't know how much that affected me as an adult now. So when they said if you want your to get a license, you have to start seeing clients. And I thought, oh no, I mean, I don't want to see clients. And but I did under their supervision. Um, and so I've started having clients come and more were referring them, clients were referring others to me. And I realized that my acting taught me a lot about human behavior because as actors, we have to like try to mimic behavior depending on what kind of character we have. And it teaches you to be observant, it teaches you to listen. And then with my age at that time, I had life experience. So I did have a lot more to offer than I had thought. Just as you, we all have something to offer others that we probably don't even realize. So that and my friends, they said, you're always giving people advice and telling them what to do. Good, now you can get paid for it.
Yeah.
But what psychologists say and what we learn is that we don't tell people what to do. We let them discover themselves what they should be doing.
Wow. Yeah, that's so interesting.
So,
Yeah.
but of course, it's easy to see what someone else should be doing. So I have to get therapy to have my self discoveries.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Yeah. Um, so I just have one more question for you. So I love inspiring and motivational quotes, and this week my favorite quotation is by Maya Angelou, and
Oh,
it's if you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be.
hmm.
Is there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Well, at this time in my life, I have been wondering what else could I do to help others? How can I make more contribution to help positive change? And so the quote that I've heard for years seems to be more prevalent in my mind now, and that's if you don't know where you've come from, you won't know where you're going. And it makes me think of now with our political environment, how books are now being taken out of schools and banned, and a lot of our history our children don't know. Um, I would like, particularly with children of color, kids of color, to teach them Black history, make them aware of what's happened, making them aware of me. I mean, I got in the business when there were no Blacks in TV commercials. Most people don't even know that there was a time that Blacks were not on television at all. And we got to know where we've come from so that we can continue. And history repeats itself. So if you don't know history, you don't know what's coming at you, what's going to be repeated with the behaviors that we have now. So that being said, um, I just want to, I'm trying to think now, what can I do? How can I do it to teach others that's not being taught now? So I'm thinking if you come up with an idea to help me, thank you. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
but there's that if I could do, I think if I could do that, I would feel fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Hmm.
Um, well, that was my final question for you.
Oh, okay. I love your questions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
they make me think, you know.
Thank you. That's always my goal.
Good,
Um,
good.
yeah,
How is your mom? Is her personality sort of like you, or who do you think you take after, your mom or your dad?
my mom, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister and I always joke that we make fun of her for certain things, but then we're like exactly like her. So
Hmm.
it's yeah. So my sister and I are both like versions of our mom.
Uh-huh. I think I am too. You know what happened to me was that when I tried to develop the character Suge Avery for Color Purple, I mean, I wrote out all this back history about her. You know, that's what you do when just developing a character and trying to move every day or drink a cup of coffee the way she would and how would she talk. I mean, you're building all this, and that's the beauty of doing film because usually you have time to try to really develop. And I'm thinking that, oh, I've done all this unique stuff. And Maya, when I saw myself on screen in the dailies, I looked and I said, well, I was glad that I gained the weight that Steven Spielberg, our director, had said, hey, you got to gain weight. And I gained that weight. But I looked up and I said, damn, I've just imitated my mom. I looked at myself and all I could see was my mom. And I'm thinking, boy, I guess it was all subconscious, you know. Our parents can be really, really influential, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Yeah, my mom and my sister are there like they're just my best friends. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's good. You are blessed to have two great blessed friends.
I am. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I have just had so much fun talking with you. I
Thank you.
so appreciate your joining me today. So thank
Okay,
you.
I had fun too. So how long have we been? Ooh, we've been more than 30 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah, and I have just loved being able to just have a conversation with you.
Okay. All
So,
right. Thank you. Well,
thank you.
I guess I have to say goodbye, and I had a nice afternoon chat. The only thing
Yeah.
we didn't do is share tea.
Yes, I think, yeah, we should definitely do that one day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap on today's edition of The Latest with Maya.